Hello!
Hello!
Welcome back to another episode of Diagnosing a Killer. I'm Kenna.
And I'm Koelle.
And I think I went, hello! A second ago. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, pretty good, actually. Went to go see a baseball game.
Oh, that
with
sounds like fun.
most of the fam. You and Case slept in.
It was his birthday.
Yeah.
The day before we were recording this, and I didn't feel like getting up. Neither did he.
Yeah, we were all up pretty late last night.
Yeah, definitely. We just had some really nice Texas barbecue for dinner, which is so yummy.
So yummy. Yeah.
And now we're here to talk to you guys, and we're super excited. This is another one of our cases that we're recording before my trip, so this is going to be coming out while I'm not even in Texas, but we wanted to bring you guys all the content, and we're really excited. I'm really excited about this one. You don't know what I'm doing. Before we get started, do you want to tell everyone about our handles? And then I do have a couple messages to read as well.
Sure. You can catch us at diagnosingakiller.com. There you will find links to research and merch. Use that merch tab. It'll take you over to Redbubble. Get some shirts before the convention in August. Also on our website, you can find a DAKPOD coupon code that'll get you 15% off of a ticket to the True Crime Paranormal Podcast Festival.
The hands.
A lot of hands, grabby hands.
I'm definitely making sure to bring like a bunch of extra business cards to Ohio. So if I run into anybody, like if we strike up conversation with anybody at a bar, you're getting a business card. So
For sure.
just beware, Ohio.
Catch us on social media anywhere at Diagnosing a Killer other than Twitter or X, which is at Killer Diagnosis.
Yeah.
Patreon 2 and 3 tier members get an exclusive bonus episode every month. And even our Tier 1 Patreon members also get access to ad-free episodes, in addition to 2 and 3s as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bonus episode comes out every month on the 29th, which means by the time you're hearing this, the bonus episode has already been out for almost a week. So
Yeah.
hope you guys have enjoyed that episode.
Yes.
It was a lot off of my mind to stop talking about it. But oh my god, speaking of the Patreon bonus episodes, I found audio recordings of the Toy Box Killer, the one I did last,
yeah.
on TikTok. They have like 5 parts of the whole audio, and it's like even grosser, like hearing him say it, not even just reading the transcript. Like his voice is nasty.
It's like that Jigsaw moment where he's broadcasting the same video to multiple people.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. So, like I said, before we get started, I do have a couple of messages that our lovely listeners have sent us. So we did get a message from Connie, and Connie said, "Hey y'all, fellow Texan here, just saying I love your podcast. I just came across the story of Mary Ann Cotton and wondered if either of you had ever heard of her. Crazy. Anyway, love you, bye." That was really sweet. I hadn't heard of her, but I actually did look her up and put her on my list. And it's like a wild one. I think that she got convicted of murdering her stepson, but she was like suspected of a bunch of different murders like in her family.
Really?
Yeah, so thanks for the lovely message, Connie. And of course, I responded. I always respond on the Instagram if you guys send a message. So we appreciate that. And then we have another one from Kirsty. Kirsty said, "Hey, as you ask in your episodes, I'm listening from the Netherlands, but originally from the UK, so hopefully that crosses off places on your listen map. I only started recently with your Elliot Rodger episodes, but I love the style of the episodes. So much information," with a heart.
Nice.
That was really sweet.
Thanks, Kirsty.
Yeah, we definitely try to get as much info out there as we can without sounding like a documentary.
Yeah.
We definitely do our due diligence in our research. I know that we've talked in previous episodes about our different research styles.
Right.
But either way, like, we want to bring you guys all the content. And if there's anything that we ever leave out, like, just let us know.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
It's true. And, well, we've said it before, sometimes for brevity's sake, like, if it doesn't really pertain to the case or maybe a mental diagnosis of some kind, then we usually don't put it in there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care to know what Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite fruit salad is, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. It's out there, though.
You might, yeah.
Just kidding.
So just let us know.
And lastly, we got a message from Andrea. Andrea said, "Hi, Koelle and Kenna. This is Andrea, Louie's sister. Just wanted to say I love listening to your podcast. Keep up the great work. In the Jodi Arias podcast, you had said to message you about Rainforest Cafe. So I just wanted to let you know that we have a Rainforest Cafe here in Ontario, California. Love you, bye." And I was like, oh my god, thanks so much for letting us know.
Yeah. Let us know about your Rainforest Cafes.
Well, I love that, like, you can really tell in these messages that obviously people are listening, but they're like, oh, like, I know that they would really appreciate it if we gave them a little info about places that they haven't been to. You know, I've never been to Ontario. Yeah. I've been to California, but not that part. And of course, not in the UK at all. So it's really fun to hear from you guys and hear like what people have in different spots or even just where you're listening from.
It's
you know?
Really cool.
And it's much more personal than just the map that we have.
For sure. I love when y'all sign off with "Love you, bye."
Oh yeah, that's so great.
So awesome.
It's like the subject's like "Hello," the signature "Love you, bye." That is our thing.
Love you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, seriously, it's always great to hear from you guys. I love all the positive words.
Yes.
Are you ready to get into this case?
Yes.
All right.
Is it Sherry Papini?
No. Oh. You have any more guesses before I go into my content?
Is it Diane Routier?
No.
I don't think is it named Diane? I don't remember. I
don't know if you'll know this case. Like, if you do, I won't be surprised. But if you don't, I also won't be surprised.
Is it a woman?
Yes, it's a woman. Let me just say the story. I mean, we're already here. I'm about to get into it right now. All
right, fine.
This is what's happening. So today, we are going to be talking about Brittany Norwood.
Brittany Norwood.
Again, if you don't know her, I won't be surprised.
Brittany Norwood. I think it's just because I went to high school with a Norwood, so I think that's why it sounds familiar.
Probably not the same gal.
It's not the same gal, I'll tell you that.
Definitely not the same gal.
Yeah, no, I think that's why it's stuck in my head, specifically.
I think once we start getting further into the story, you might be like, oh, I think I've heard about this. Content warning. This episode contains descriptions of sexual assault, racial bias, and graphic physical assault. If this episode is not for you, we encourage you to find another one of our episodes. Remember, your mental health is very important to us, and we love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
So yes, Brittany Norwood, and I'll just go ahead and get into it. Because why am I wasting any more time? I keep saying that I'm going to get into it, and then I don't get into it.
And then you don't.
Okay. Brittany Norwood was born on May 18th, 1982, to Earl and Larkita Norwood in Washington State. As far as I can tell, she had 4 brothers and 4 sisters, so she was in a very big family. The Norwood family was known as being really well known around the neighborhood and even admired while the children were growing up. There's actually even a couple of articles that Brittany was featured in as a young kid because she was like super active in the community. Mm-hmm. One of these, she was working with some fellow classmates in 6th grade on a project about religion, and it was posted in the Federal Way News Tribune.
Okay.
Both Earl and Larkita had been described as friendly and generous, and they raised their children to be the same way. So the parents, Earl and Larkita, owned a furniture upholstery and fabric business that went well for a while, but it also had its troubles as well. The two were known to stay extremely dedicated to their children's needs, even through the rough patch with the business. Financial needs, I mean. Mm-hmm. On top of this, friends and acquaintances noted that the family never complained, even when needing to put thousands of dollars into their children's extracurricular activities.
Wow.
So just like really great people.
Yeah, they want everything for their kids.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Of the sports the kids played, Brittany was extremely into soccer as a kid and well into adulthood as well. Earl was known to attend every single one of Brittany's games, and he was always dressed very formally, notably wearing a collared shirt, a jacket, and slacks. Like he's like, I want to look the greatest to watch my daughter play.
What a dad.
Brittany knew from a young age that she wanted to pursue her dream of playing on the U.S. women's national soccer team, and she would work very hard at soccer her whole childhood because of this. Her rough behavior during games was something that people took notice of, but always stated that it never translated off the field. It's like, she's just an aggressive soccer player, but she's not an aggressive person.
Right.
Brittany would attend Decatur High School in Federal Way, Washington, where she was also involved in cheerleading, and she would graduate in the year 2000. After she graduated, she would move to Long Island, New York, to study sociology at Stony Brook University, and would receive remarkable praise as a soccer player, playing through her junior year. While she was in college, however, numerous reports would be made against Brittany from her roommates, teammates, and classmates about Brittany stealing from them, like specific items.
What? Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of like goes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They would refer to her as a kleptomaniac, like most of the time. Like it was that bad.
I wonder what the psychology behind that is.
Exactly. Like, you didn't want for anything as a kid as far as we know.
Yeah.
So why do you feel like you have to steal things?
It's like a slight risk situation that probably feels pretty nice or something.
Or maybe she didn't like the idea of people calling their family perfect all the time when she was growing up. She's like, oh, well, I'll like show them.
I need to rebel.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Give me your socks.
I still can't figure out like the motive.
Huh. That's very interesting.
From her friend and fellow soccer player, however, she would be referred to as, quote, very sweet, funny, and amazing soccer player. Stealing was her only vice, end quote. So, like, it was something that was really, like, a big deal.
It was a high.
Exactly. Most people actually seem to laugh off the constant stealing, like, made it, like, not so much of a big deal, stating, quote, "Oh, that's just something she does," end quote.
That's just Brittany.
Yeah, like, don't leave your shit out around her.
Leave your shit around her.
No, that's like a fucking...
It's a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely a time in pretty much everyone's life that they've taken something that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
I just find that very interesting that there's something commingling with, like, endorphins and stuff like that makes someone want to do it all the time.
Well, I think that, as a kid, everyone steals something once or whatever, and usually you figure out that that's wrong or you get in trouble and then you don't do it again, right? But she's kind of been getting away with it,
well, especially if people are laughing it off, then there's no ramifications.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, though, she would be reported enough times, and she would actually lose her scholarship and ultimately be expelled from school when she was a junior.
Okay, well, that's a big consequence.
Yeah, well, it was classmates, roommates, and teammates alike. Like, everyone was, like, reporting her on certain
stole my
things.
cleats.
Yeah, exactly. They're on her feet.
Just pushing her over and jacking them off of her feet.
Now, in 2007, allegations of Brittany stalking her ex-boyfriend also surfaced. A restraining order from the same ex had also been filed against Brittany as well, but she would continuously reschedule the hearings due to, like, work conflicts, despite receiving letters about how important it was for her to attend.
Yeah.
After a year of dodging the court proceedings, the restraining order had actually expired, as the boyfriend did not have any way to prove his domestic violence claims because she wouldn't show up to this hearing, which is honestly, like, kind of lame because...
No, you don't show up, you should be granted the restraining order.
Exactly. Like, she didn't show up, like, clearly.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the prosecution or whatever is like. Oh, she didn't show up. She's clearly not stalking you. She's not here.
She doesn't even want to be around you.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know.
Gosh.
But I didn't know that. I don't know if it's any different now. But yeah, the restraining order had been filed, but had been over a year since it had filed, so it kind of just, like, fell into the...
Where I guess, like, maybe she just wasn't contacting him anymore, and then...
Maybe.
At all, and then, yeah. But I just feel like...
They should grant it.
Yeah. Like, that person doesn't show up because they're afraid of a court proceeding. Like, no.
I completely agree. The same year, 2007, Brittany would move to Washington, D.C., Maryland area, to live with one of her 4 sisters. She would initially begin working at the William Intercontinental Hotel, and was actually quickly promoted to management. However, this would not last long, as Brittany was very interested in opening and owning her own gym and becoming a personal trainer.
Okay. So that's, like, a positive thing.
Yeah.
But, I'm already concerned because I see the kleptomania already. Or, I guess, I don't know, what would the proper term be for that? If you have that.
I think that's
kleptomania.
Right. Yeah.
You have that. You have the boyfriend that wants a restraining order. And then you have her thrusting herself into work. And I think that it sounds like a Kristen Gilbert. It really does. And I can't stop thinking about Kristen Gilbert right now.
Yeah, I think that with the personal training, like, the motive behind that might have been, like, stealing people's stuff. Because you're working one-on-one with people. You have access to, like, a lot of their, maybe, like, information or belongings or whatever. I don't know. That might not have been the motive behind it. But
she clearly wants to make a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And she's clearly interested in doing something physical, like physical activity.
Interesting.
So speaking of money, she found herself in a position currently at this moment that she wasn't able to open her own gym because she didn't have enough money. So she decided to apply at a place that sold, like, active wear and gym wear. So she could kind of be, like, in the community and just not working at a gym. One of these places that she applied for was Lululemon Athletica, and Brittany would ultimately get the job. Do you know this case now?
No.
Okay, cool. So you probably don't know it. If you don't know it now, you probably don't know.
But this was recent, was it not?
This was in, like, the murder was in, like, 2011.
Murder?
Well, diagnosing a killer.
Well.
So diagnosing a klepto.
Who dies?
So, on March 12th, 2011, Rachel Ortley, the manager of the Lululemon in Bethesda, Maryland, is that how you say it? Bethesda, Maryland, arrived in the morning to find the door unlocked. Rachel thought this was strange, but she assumed another store employee had either just been there before her or someone had just forgotten to lock up the night before. Once she entered, she came across merchandise strewn all over the place, and the mannequins completely apart, as well as drawers open and racks tipped over, like a ransacking.
Okay.
The ransacker. Upon entering, she immediately grabbed her phone to contact any other employee that might have been there, and simultaneously called out to see if anyone was inside.
Yeah.
Once she yelled, Rachel noted a strange sound that sounded like groaning coming from the back of the store. Of course, this completely scared her, and she ran outside to dial 911 and also grabbed a nearby man by the name of Ryan and briefly explained to him what she heard and asked him to come investigate with her. She's like, I don't want to go in there alone, which I don't fucking blame her. Ryan agreed to help Rachel, and she would stand at the front door while he went back to hear what the groaning was. A minute later, Ryan yelled at Rachel to call the police. Rachel immediately called 911 and told the dispatcher, quote, I think someone's dead, end quote. What Ryan had come across was a scene out of a horror film. He told Rachel that there was a body of a woman laying face down in the hallway and another woman tied up in the bathroom, seemingly barely breathing and possibly assaulted.
Oh my gosh.
At this point, Rachel would phone 911 again to give them the further information that she had gathered. Montgomery County Police had responded to the 911 call and arrived at the scene to discover the same trashed place. On the floor leading to the body and woman, there were 2 bloody footprints, one kind of big and then one smaller.
Okay.
But there was blood everywhere.
Yeah, so it was probably hard to distinguish that in the first place.
Exactly. The body of the 30-year-old woman was that of Jana Murray, a manager of the Lululemon store, and the employee that had been closing the night before this incident. She was the manager on duty.
She was the manager on duty the night before.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she was in there all night?
Yes.
That's awful.
The other woman, 28, was none other than Brittany Norwood. Brittany's hands and feet were zip-tied, and she had cuts all over her chest, legs, arms, and face.
Oh my gosh.
Police would rush Brittany to the hospital to tend to her wounds and began searching for any leads to find the perpetrator of this horrific crime. There were no security cameras, however, or even eyewitnesses, except for one, Brittany. She was alive.
And she also was working overnight?
She had been working that night.
Okay.
But before as well.
Okay.
But they didn't know this at the time.
Okay.
Well, I guess Rachel knew that, but police didn't. Once Brittany was stable, police would return to the hospital to question her about what had occurred that night before. Brittany explained to police that her and Jana had closed the store the evening prior, and while she was leaving, she realized that she had forgotten her wallet. She called Jana to let her back into the store, and alarm records showed that the door was indeed unlocked at 10:05 p.m.
Okay.
According to Brittany, 2 men wearing dark clothing and ski masks then entered the store, attacked both women, and sexually assaulted them as well. She stated that Jana tried to fight back when being sexually assaulted, and the 2 men responded to this by ultimately ending her life.
So, how did she was stabbed, or?
I'll get to it in just one second.
Okay.
While police initially thought that Brittany was a victim of this crime, they quickly realized while talking to her that most of what she was claiming happened did not add up. Jana had been savagely attacked with at least 331 wounds inflicted with 5 different weapons.
What?
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, that's not like they got mad and they beat her to death. Like,
or that they were looking to rob and or sexually assault.
Yeah.
Like, if you, in most cases that we've covered, if there's a sexual assault and, you know, the person is unfortunately murdered, it's usually very, I wouldn't say quick, but you don't do that. You don't use 5 weapons and hit, stab, whatever, 300 times. That's crazy. So
out of these weapons, they concluded that it included a knife and a hammer that actually came from a toolbox that was in the store's, like, storage unit.
Oh, it was the toolbox killer.
On the other hand, Brittany's wounds were relatively minor and superficial and appeared to be self-inflicted.
Like they were all on her front, not on her back, or on the back of her head, or... Yeah.
Forensic experts even noted later on that she had a cut on her forehead as well, but the blood that dripped from it was straight down, which would appear that she would be standing straight up, but she was found laying down. Yeah. So it didn't... Like, it's literally like Dexter. Like, the blood spatter didn't match what she was saying.
She was looking in a mirror when she did it.
Exactly. The bloody footprints on the floor had come from 2 pairs of shoes, one being size 14 Reebok sneakers, which were found inside the store.
What?
And Brittany's personal shoes.
So she wore... Oh, my gosh.
We don't know yet.
Wait.
We don't know yet.
The perpetrator, whoever that might be,
left their
shoes behind, working at a Lululemon, which I'm assuming that they have shoes. So they just picked out some off the rack.
Yeah.
put them on for the purpose of the crime.
And then put their own shoes back on to leave.
Jeez. Featured in Vogue, Forbes, and more, Alvarez has the most beautiful and expertly crafted diamond jewelry for that special someone in your life. From engagement rings, pendants, and earrings, you're sure to find the perfect gift that expresses exactly how you feel. Click the link in the show notes to receive $10 off all orders plus free shipping. Alvarez, fitting all your jewelry needs from A to Z.
On top of this, the bloody shoe prints ended before the exit door, indicating that the person who made them did not leave.
Never left.
Yeah.
You at least gotta go, like, take a jog around the block or something.
Just lead them, like, down an alley and, like, all the way around. God, it's terrible.
Lead them to another perpetrator, just like...
It's like in the Emperor's New Groove, when they're running and, like, the footprints are left behind.
She just paints a sign with an arrow pointing to, like, a dude.
He did it.
He did it. It's this guy.
It's terrible. So investigators would do further testing and actually came to the conclusion that neither one of the women had been sexually assaulted like Brittany claimed.
Oh, what?
Jaina was even found with a hole in her pants, like, next to her genitals to suggest that they had been, like, ripped, but there was no physical evidence of sexual assault.
I wonder why she would claim that if it didn't happen.
Well,
like, there's ways to tell that happened.
Absolutely. I think that, and I'll get into it a little bit more, but I think that she was just trying to make these people look like the worst people in the world. Right?
Yeah.
She's saying anything she can for police to be like, oh my God, how horrible.
Yeah.
We need to go find these guys and not really, like, focus their attention on her.
Right.
Although her story seemed extremely unreasonable, police did not have any concrete evidence to make an arrest or even hold Brittany at all, so they began searching for leads in the case. Detective Dimitri Rubin, who had done the questioning of Brittany, was really suspicious of her from the beginning of her story.
Did you mean to say Reuven? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
He stated about this, quote, "The amount of trauma that Jaina suffered wasn't normal. It's just the little voice in the back of my head. Something's just not right. The way Brittany's describing these two guys, they're racist, they're rapists, they're robbers, they're murderers. It's like the worst human being you could possibly describe, right? It doesn't say two crazy people off the street. That screams an inside job." End quote.
Ooh.
I got the heaves.
But I'm sure they're looking at her like, there's no way she could have perpetrated this crime.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta look at other leads, potential other leads.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. I do like that theory when investigating a crime. Go ahead and throw out the what ifs and it's all just going to come back around to that person, right? Like, let me go ahead and test all of these theories, and when they are disproven, then, you know, the evidence only points to one person.
Exactly. It's always going to point back with the evidence. Mm-hmm. And it's, the thing is like, okay, obviously we all know that Brittany was the one that did this. Clearly. Her name is the title of the episode.
She doesn't have a size 14 shoe?
No, her name's on the episode. We all know. But at this point, like, police don't know what she's capable of. Right. She is obviously not a criminal mastermind, so all of this shit's going to come out, and it's just a matter of time. Like, police just are going to do their jobs, like they should, detectives, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's going to come out.
I'm sure they're also trying to eliminate any potential, you know, possibility that someone helped with the crime as well.
Exactly.
They need to make sure that it's just her, only her.
Absolutely. So meanwhile, the store owners had offered a $125,000 reward to anyone who could help police find and convict the two male suspects.
Did she call?
Yeah, right? She's like, I think they went that way.
Yeah. Can I get my $120K? Please?
Yeah, for real. Police would question the neighboring stores because it was in like a strip mall for anybody that may have heard something that night. Mm-hmm. Employees in the Apple store next door had explained that they indeed heard an altercation through the wall the previous evening. Surveillance footage from inside the Apple store, this is funny. It's not funny, haha, but it's like, okay. It showed the two employees standing next to the shared wall, like kind of like leaning into it, and then walking away while the security guard was just listening to his iPod. Like the security guard was not interested in shit. He's like, that's not my business.
Not my problem.
Not my store.
Not my store.
God, that's terrible, but I bet they looked at him like, bro, are you fucking serious right now? Bro? Like,
you hear something, go investigate. But he doesn't get paid to do that.
Exactly.
It's just, I mean, not to diminish the job of a security guard, but
he's not a cop.
Yeah.
In the nicest
I'm sure
way
he doesn't
possible.
have, he doesn't have,
Like, what is, he's just gonna phone the police.
He's like, bro, I get paid $16 an hour.
Yeah,
like,
that's very true.
I'm not gonna go over there.
But
at least call the cops.
I think it almost is like, they don't think he heard anything because he was like on his iPod. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I see. Like, He's just like,
oh, that sucks. And then he puts his
Officer
AirPods
Doofy,
in his
yeah.
iPod. What are they called? Headphones? They're not AirPods.
AirPods.
No, they are AirPods, but this isn't earbuds. This is in 2011. They wouldn't have had AirPods.
Yeah.
Just puts his
and I'm pretty
AirPods
sure
in.
Airbud is that Golden Retriever movie. Earbuds.
Anyway. So the Apple employee that did hear something would state that she heard women arguing, then one saying, quote, "Talk to me, don't do this, talk to me, what's going on?"
Oh my
end quote.
gosh.
Followed by screams and the sound of something or someone being hit or dragged.
But nobody called the
So
cops?
specific. Yeah, oh yeah. After this, she heard the same voice, but she said it was weak this time, saying, quote, "God help me, please help me," end quote.
And nobody called the cops?
Like, what?
Nobody called.
Because the other Apple Apple Store employee testified later that he thought the noise was, quote, just drama. It's
drama?
just two girls. They're just
you've
so
hit
dramatic.
Me, stabbed me.
Oh, they're so dramatic.
Girls are so dramatic.
Those hysterical women. Meanwhile, someone's getting, like,
with their black
murdered.
bile.
Like,
causing all this magic to happen in your brains. you womenses.
Yeah, I guess this was Freud that was working at the Apple Store.
But he had male hysteria.
That's very true.
Although they called it PTSD.
Yeah.
It's PTSD when it's a man. It's hysteria when it's a woman. Yeah.
Mental breakdown.
I know, which episode
15.0.
was that? So long ago.
So police would continue their investigation, and they would get a warrant to search Jana's car.
Okay.
So they would find and collect a blood sample that would later be identified of being a mixture of Brittany's and Jana's blood.
In her car?
Yeah, in Jana's car.
Okay.
When questioning Brittany, police asked her if she had moved Jana's car, which was found 3 blocks away at a farmer's market.
Oh, she thought that was ditching the car?
She thought she was, like, clever.
Yeah.
She explained that the men had ordered her to, and told her if she didn't come back in 10 minutes, they would kill her. Like, that seems like a perfect opportunity to escape if you're me.
You have a car. You're in a car.
You're outside the building.
Yeah.
Moving 3 blocks away. Like, you know how fast cars can go?
Just step on the skinny pedal. I'm sure she also couldn't claim that they were in the car forcing her to do it.
Oh, of course. Well, she said that they stayed at the store, and they told her to go and come back, yeah.
Yeah.
But she also stated that she even saw a police officer while she was moving the car, but she just decided not to say anything to him.
She's like, I'm fine, I can handle this. I'm a big girl.
Yeah.
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
When asked why she didn't just flee when she was out of the building away from the perpetrators in the car, she explained that the 2 men had seen her home address on her ID, and she was worried that they would try to find her.
They just glanced at it but gave her ID back?
Right, like, oh, that's interesting. Okay,
no, I have a photographic memory. You can keep this.
Exactly. So while the investigation was still going on, and within a week of the murder, the community would hold a vigil for Jana Murray. As the night went on, news began to spread throughout the vigil. Brittany Norwood had been arrested in connection to the murder of Jana.
Wow.
This
is at her vigil.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
A week after the assault, on March 18th, Brittany Norwood was charged with first-degree murder. Police would keep the details of the arrest and crime very tightly under wraps, and would actually not release any information to the public until nearly 7 months later at her trial.
What?
They didn't want anyone screwing up the story. They wanted all the evidence to be right there. And they were like, we're not releasing any information about this. All they know is that she was held for it.
Wow.
Yeah. During the time awaiting trial, the Lululemon store was closed and boarded up, which I just had to put that in there because I thought that's, like, really sad. Like, it's probably, like, a mom-and-pop owned, franchise or whatever.
Yeah.
But they had to keep it closed, of course, because it was an active crime scene, essentially. I'm sure they were collecting evidence that whole time as well.
Yeah, you would think so.
Brittany's trial would begin on October 26th, 2011. It was then that the grueling details of what actually happened that night were exposed. So, on the night of the murder, Brittany and Jana were closing up the store, and Jana asked Brittany if she could check her bag. This was very common and still is in high-end retail stores because the merchandise is super expensive. Obviously, they don't want anyone stealing it.
Yeah, I worked for a company that did that for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody had to look at each other's bags before we left.
Yeah, and not for nothing. Like, I don't think they knew each other before, but Brittany is a klepto. So it's like, okay, might as well check her bag.
That makes so much sense now because I was going to ask, what's the motive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Jana had found a pair of stolen yoga pants in Brittany's bag. So it's unclear whether or not Jana asked Brittany about the pants or if there was just tension. But either way, like, Brittany knew that Jana saw the pants. But either way, Jana thought to herself that she would just give her superior a call once Brittany left the store, and she wasn't going to say anything to her.
Yeah.
The two had both left the store, Jana locking up, and then they both took off. A few minutes later, Brittany called another store employee to ask for Jana's number, as she had left something behind inside but didn't have her number.
Or she just said that she did.
Exactly. The employee gave her the number, and Brittany then called Jana. Jana had just gotten off the phone with her boss, who she had informed about Brittany's theft, and the superior told Jana that she would just deal with it in the morning. She's like, go ahead and go home, like, I'll figure it out tomorrow.
Right.
So once Jana answered Brittany's call, Brittany explained that she left her wallet inside and asked Jana to come in and unlock the door for her. Once inside, Brittany attacked Jana, ultimately, of course, brutally killing her. Excuse me.
So that was the 10 o'clock thing that they said that there was, the alarm was turned off.
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
Okay.
So Brittany then staged the scene to look like a robbery and put on a pair of men's shoes from the store.
Oh, well.
Began tracking blood around the floor. She would then move Jana's car and come up with her elaborate plan.
What were the people at the Apple store doing there so late?
I don't know. Maybe they closed like an hour later than Lulu.
Yeah, because this
Or
would have
maybe
been
they
like
were
10, 20,
Yeah.
maybe 10:15.
So Brittany would then return to the store, where she cut herself up numerous times, bound her feet and hands, and laid on the bathroom floor. Police believe that there was a nearly 90-minute time frame since Jana's death and Brittany laying on the bathroom floor. 90 minutes in between.
90 minutes in between what? So she was...
Jana passing and Brittany laying on the floor, which means she had an hour and a half to do all this planning, and then she literally laid on the floor all night.
All night long. That's another thing that I was going to ask, was like, because this was the next morning.
Yep.
Did she think that maybe she was going to be loud enough that the Apple store employees would call the cops?
Yeah, I think so. I think she was waiting for someone to show up. There's no way that they didn't hear the ruckus. Like, the police are going to be coming.
Right.
And then they didn't. Or the manager showed up the next morning.
Or someone's going to be looking for my ass because I'm not home yet.
Yeah.
Or nobody's heard from me in a few hours or something. Wow.
Exactly.
Ugh.
I know, it's, like, honestly, like, that's, like, the creepiest part of this whole thing to me. Like, she literally laid next
Down
to a deceased person for probably 8 hours. Like, just for her fucking story.
That's so...
Like, how far are you willing to go? For a pair of leggings.
For a pair of leggings.
Like, all over a pair of leggings. She was afraid she was going to lose her job, is what it was.
Yeah, but, like, it's just, like you said, it was kind of just like I'll just start working here.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
Of a thing,
so it wasn't even like a career or anything like that.
Ugh. But it could ruin her reputation and her career.
Well, she already knew what happened last time she got reports of theft. You know,
That's
she
true.
got kicked out of school and everything.
That's true.
Now, during the trial, prosecutors showed the jury all of the evidence, including phone calls and video footage of Brittany claiming to not know the type of car that Jana drove.
What?
She's like, I don't even know what kind of car she drives.
But she drove it.
Yeah, exactly.
She drove it at least once.
The evidence was so overwhelming, in fact, that Brittany had to alter her plea to self-defense as opposed to not guilty, because they were like, there's literally no way you didn't do this. Like, you cannot, like, physically put in a plea of not guilty.
Cannot not have done it.
Yeah, exactly. The jury deliberated for just 21 minutes before finding Brittany Norwood guilty of first-degree murder.
21 minutes.
21 minutes.
This sounds like a girl that's kind of entitled, honestly. This sounds like a girl that was really entitled and thought that she could just get away with it because she's never had to deal with any of the consequences most of her life when stealing things for a while, you know, until it got really bad. But yeah, yeah. Well, sounds like entitlement.
Again, like I said earlier, I think that she thought, there's no way they're not going to believe me if I have cuts all over my body. I'm found tied up. I tell them I'm sexually assaulted. There's no way they're not going to believe me. They're going to go looking for these guys, and then I'm going to get away scot-free, and they're never going to find the guys.
Yeah.
And my problem solved. I got to keep the leggings.
Did she...
You know what I mean, though? Like, she didn't
so
think about the
though.
consequences. Like, or the fact that they might be able to see through her bullshit.
And how old was she at this point? Because I'm thinking about that whole frontal lobe thing about learning consequences and
28.
stuff. 28, yeah. She sounds like she's a 14, 15-year-old girl.
In the thinking, process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's just wild. Like, she definitely didn't... It was most definitely a rage crime. Like, with the amount of wounds that Jana had, like, that's ridiculous. And I'll talk about that in just a minute as well.
I wouldn't... like you said, the rage behind it. I'm wondering if it wasn't just her taking out every bit of uncomfortability or frustration she's ever felt surrounding kleptomania.
Yeah, she's like, I got confused. I got caught once again. Or not even caught in her mind. She probably thinks I got, what's it called when you accused? I got accused.
Yeah, she's more mad about that.
Yeah, exactly. So at Brittany's sentencing, Jana's family showed home videos of her, and they were adamant that Brittany not be eligible for parole and serve out her entire life sentence.
Well, yeah, the crime was brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. The judge would agree, and Brittany was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on January 27th, 2012. In 2015, Brittany contested her conviction using a Maryland state law that guarantees circuit court defendants the right to appeal. Her lawyers would argue that she did not receive her Miranda rights early enough in the investigation and was thus improperly questioned by detectives. What was I supposed to give her Miranda rights when she was unconscious in the hospital or asleep or something?
When was I supposed to do that?
The court bluntly stated about this, quote, "The evidence of Norwood's guilt was overwhelming," end quote.
That's, yeah.
It's like all they responded with.
Mic drop.
Yeah. So this ruling, them just saying that, effectively has ruined her chances for ever appealing again.
Well, I mean, the brutality of the crime is
outrageous.
I think, in a way, I don't want to say unmatched, because, like, how do you compare apples and oranges? But it's very extreme.
331 wounds at least. That's not total. That's as many as they found. Yeah. Exactly. Like, that is absolutely brutal. And content warning for you guys, if you do research this crime, there are crime scene photos online. Not of the body, but just a bunch of blood and stuff.
Oh, I see.
Not that I could find. I didn't look, try to look, you know. But
I should have said that about Jodi Arias, because, oh gosh, those pictures are everywhere, and it's just heartbreaking because, you know, the Alexander family has to deal with that. And
yeah,
it's just,
absolutely.
That's awful.
So Brittany Norwood remains in the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women in Jessup, Maryland to this day. And she has been living a relatively quiet life since 2015, as there's not really much known about her online since then. So I guess she was like, I can't appeal anymore, might as well just like, shut up.
I'm just going to be quiet.
Yeah, I mean,
which is probably what she should do.
Honestly. Of course, her parents do not agree with the decision, and they continue to show support for their daughter, hoping that one day she will be released.
Do you think it was just like a mental break? Do you think that there was something that just snapped and she just raged out?
Yeah, I think so, because I was going to say that she was never diagnosed with any mental disorders, but it is known that she was actually going to try to attempt to plead insanity at first, but her lawyers weren't able to prove any mental disability.
Well, I wonder if it's not a CTE thing.
It might be.
And they won't know that. Yeah, they won't know that until post-mortem. I mean...
Yeah, no, it's just a really, like, giant... horrible story, you know, from the beginning, and this is a smaller case that I decided to bring this time, but I think it's, like, really important. Like, there's no underlying mental disorder that we know of, but you're completely right. I didn't even think about CTE, and even if there's not a mental disorder, like, we want to cover cases like this as well, because that brutality of that crime is just so unfair, and, like, over something so little, like, there's no way that there's not a mental disorder in there, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no way.
I agree, yeah, especially with the brutality of the crime and, you know, the lengths that she attempted to go through to cover it up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sorry, but I feel like if it was like a snap or something, that she wouldn't have that wherewithal to kind of cover it up.
I agree.
And maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just a scramble to try to figure out a story or something. I mean, she had 8 hours to think about what she was going to say.
Yeah, exactly. But she also, like I said, had 90 minutes in between the killing and her laying down to be a victim.
Yeah.
That she had so much time to, and yeah, in the 8 hours on top of that, she had so much time to reconsider.
Why even stay there? Why not just escape? Why not just leave the scene?
Well, she's probably thinking, like, I was the only other employee with her here last night, so...
Clearly, it's, yeah.
I don't know, man. I think, personally, like, she did snap in that moment, and then she was like, oh shit, like, what am I gonna do? People that are kleptomaniacs, if you will, are also very good at fibbing, like, lying, and they're very... manipulative, and I think that's something that she thought that she was going to outsmart everybody with her story.
Well, even kleptomania can be an impulsion and a compulsion at the same time, so I think that maybe it's also that. It's like a snap decision, and then I'll just pay for the consequences later, if there are any. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, obviously our thoughts go out to Jana's family. I do hope that Brittany is getting the help that she needs in jail, but, you know, we can never really count on that, especially because she wasn't diagnosed with anything, but... Anyway, that's the Lululemon murder story, and that's what it's known as. But yeah, Brittany Norwood. I didn't think that you knew that case, and so I was like, I'm going to bring this one, see if she catches on.
Like, I think that I saw maybe a YouTube, because I watch a lot of that chapter, or Dave's Lemonade, or Dreading, and I always talk about those guys because they're my favorite and I'm obsessed, but I'm pretty sure one of them had done a case on this, and so I think it sounds familiar, but I'm also, like, severely ADD, and so I'll be walking around the house with my wireless headset and just, like, listening to true crime 100% of the time. And so I think I heard it, but I didn't really retain it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So, yeah, thanks for bringing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. We are on the countdown for the festival. I think by the time you hear this, it'll be maybe 2 weeks, and then we go to the festival. 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think to the day, actually, because we're going to leave that Thursday. So 3 weeks to the day, and then we're going. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Yeah. We're definitely getting some merch working for you guys. We're going to have some freebies. We're also going to have some Patreon merch as well. If you sign up for the Patreon, you get something special. But we will have some freebies, so definitely come by and stop by and say hello to us, and buy us a beverage, and do whatever you want. Do whatever you think is fun.
I'm just going to have to ship Louis a pin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, well, we love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you later.
Yeah. Love you. Bye.
Your mental health is super important to us, so we're thrilled to announce that we are sponsored by BetterHelp to support you. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can access a network of over 30,000 licensed therapists with a wide range of specialties and be linked with the perfect match. Whether it's via text, chat, or video call, you can talk to your therapist when it works for you. When it comes to your mental health, BetterHelp is a convenient and affordable option for therapy. Get 10% off of your first month at betterhelp.com/DAKPOD. That's betterhelp.com/DAKPOD for 10% off your first month. They would find a blood sample in the car that would later be identified to be a mixture of Mac! Quit it!
No.
When
Whoa.
Whoa. So Brittany... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Nope.
When you said... Oh.
Started recording when you were just randomly talking.
Nope. Again, we talked about the fact that she... What?
The cat.
The cat.
Hold, please. Absolutely.
We didn't even, we haven't even, like you said... Oh.
Absolutely. I didn't know what I was supposed to say next.
Absolutely.
Just absolutely.
Just so absolute.